Stop thinking your family's constant bad luck, repeating financial failures, and sudden domestic disasters are just a random string of unfortunate coincidences. Stop comforting your mind with the dangerous lie that the heavy patterns of unexplainable sickness, fractured marriages, and sudden emotional isolation tormenting your household are just typical life challenges that everyone goes through. Freeze your positions exactly where you are right now, lock your eyes onto this screen with absolute, unyielding intensity, and do not dare to swipe away from this immediate, high-priority bloodline rescue broadcast. If you make the fatal mistake of skipping this video in the next 3 seconds out of distraction or casual doubt, you are actively signing the legal spiritual warrant to leave your immediate children, your grandchildren, and your entire lineage completely exposed to the exact same cycle of exhaustion that broke your parents. This is not a common internet video, nor is it a piece of basic creative storytelling designed for your passing amusement. This is a designated, celestial rescue timeline authorized directly by the Supreme Court of Heaven for your specific bloodline. Tonight, the invisible hand of Almighty God is stepping directly into your family tree to forcefully shatter the ancestral cage that the enemy secretly locked over your lineage since the year 1990. If you close this clip right now, you are turning back the only heavenly assignment sent to unlock your family's name, leaving your house completely vulnerable tomorrow morning. Look closely at the invisible blueprint of hereditary failure that has been quietly operating over your household for decades. You have noticed how the exact same unexplainable limitations seem to reappear in every generation of your family, how every time someone in your bloodline gets close to a major financial breakthrough, an unexpected medical crisis or a sudden emergency emerges from the dark to wipe out every single dollar of savings. You have watched your loved ones work twice as hard as everyone else, only to end up with the same empty bank accounts, the same sleepless nights of panic, and the same terrifying domestic tightness that kept your ancestors trapped. You have spent years blaming these repeating struggles on changing economies, bad business partners, or poor personal choices, but I am here to completely interrupt that dangerous blindness with a fierce, chilling truth. Your lineage has been operating under a hidden generational setup. The forces of darkness do not want your house to step into a life of clean, unshakable wealth and stability. Their ultimate objective is to pre-program your bloodline with chronic deficiency, ensuring that no matter how much you pray or labor, your atmosphere remains too heavy and too broken for your legacy to ever grow. They have spent over 3 decades trying to lock down your future by hijacking your family tree, but tonight, the sovereign ruler of the universe has stepped into your timeline to forcefully terminate their access. Do not be fooled by the familiar, quiet look of your home or the regular routine your family has planned for tomorrow morning. In the United States, you are surrounded by a deeply secularized, surface-level culture that trains you to view family inheritance as purely genetic or financial, completely blinding you to the fact that your bloodline is a highly active spiritual battlefield before it ever manifests in physical reality. The entities of limitation do not wait for you to make a mistake, they preoccupy your family tree in the unseen world, placing invisible blockades on your children's paths, injecting sudden, unexplainable tension into your household relationships, and seeding failure into your family's health so you remain trapped in a perpetual loop of survival. Have you ever wondered why you feel an intense wave of panic and sudden dread when looking at your family's future? That is the dark cloud of the ancestral cage activating its pre-programmed freeze to make you give up your authority before you can even save your house. But tonight, the invisible hand is completely smashing their cages to absolute dust. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of chronic setbacks and generational sabotage meeting in the freezing dark of the unseen world, staring directly at the layout of your family tree. They laughed as they reviewed the history of your lineage, boasting to one another, "We have successfully kept their parents anxious, We have rigged their children's future with unexplainable exhaustion, and we will make sure their household falls apart before they can ever build a lasting legacy. We will launch the next wave of confusion tonight while they sleep, and they will never have the strength to claim their freedom. They had already finalized the spiritual paperwork to ensure that this upcoming season would be the most stressful, chaotic, and empty season your family has ever endured. They thought you would remain distracted, compliant, and blind forever. But the High Court of Heaven has just issued an absolute bloodline decree over your entire lineage. The sovereign judge has traced every silent tear you've dropped for your children. He has seen the hidden exhaustion you carry into your home every single day, and he has ordered an immediate, full-scale celestial intervention to clear your family tree from top to bottom. Stand your ground right now, lock your eyes onto this transmission, and prepare your spirit to witness the violent removal of that heavy cloud forever. While your natural mind is drowning in low-level anxiety regarding the upcoming household duties, medical bills, and recurring arguments scheduled within your domestic walls, a high-velocity, celestial reconfiguration is taking place inside the cosmic control rooms of your destiny. I am here to expose the absolute, terrifying precision of the invisible hand. Right now, as you sit under the heavy, electrified atmosphere of this emergency bloodline rescue broadcast, Almighty God is penetrating the deep ancestral roots of your chronological history and the physical foundation of your entire family tree. He is not just giving your household a temporary sense of relief or a brief moment of comfort to get your loved ones through the next 24 hours. He is executing a permanent, celestial curse liquidation, deep within the judicial courts that monitor the material and spiritual allocation of your life. The sovereign judge is physically pulling out the ancient, heavy ledger of your family's history, the exact weekly record that documented every single drop of wasted effort, every hijacked project, and every block generation that has kept your household restricted since the year 1990. The invisible hand is taking that entire history of family sabotage, burning it from your timeline, forcefully melting every single upcoming blockade aimed at your bloodline, and releasing a flawless safety shield over your household. Do not be fooled by the fact that your family's progress has historically felt trapped behind an invisible wall of delays, missing momentum, or chaotic interruptions that ruin your domestic stability. Those persistent limitations are nothing more than the fading echoes of a broken earthly pattern that has just been legally liquidated by the highest authority in heaven. You have been conditioned by years of watching your parents struggle to believe that your household must inevitably inherit the same structural anxieties, the same operational battles, and the same quiet defeats that limited the generations before you. But the invisible hand is completely interrupting that systemic entrapment tonight. The dark, hovering blocks that were specifically designed to sabotage your children's development, ruin your critical financial decisions, disrupt your home's peace, or inject bitter conflict into your sensitive family matters are facing an absolute, celestial arrest. The deterioration of your daily strength is being stopped by divine decree, and your family's future is being structurally reprogrammed to handle an unprecedented, continuous influx of supernatural alignment and unshakable protection. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of chronic setbacks and generational sabotage gathering at the borders of your current home and your current family plans, verifying the strength of the limitations they laid down against your bloodline. They pointed to the sleepless nights your parents spent calculating costs and the unexplainable emergencies that pop up out of nowhere inside your household as permanent proof that your time was bound to stay restricted. They boasted to one another, "We will make sure this upcoming generation remains under a cloud of constant hurry and distress. We will pass the same heavy burdens of chaos and anxiety down to their children, and we will trigger a sudden crisis that fractures their stability before they can ever execute a lasting plan." They thought your quiet tolerance of these repeating family struggles was your legal consent to their torment. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stood up on your behalf, banged his supreme gavel in the courtroom of justice, and ordered an immediate chronological cleansing. The invisible hand is purging their venom from your lineage, turning back the dark cycles, and filling your upcoming schedule with an unshakable, divine tranquility. Do not get fooled into expecting a slow, natural, typical restructuring of your family dynamics that relies on human adjustments, difficult counseling courses, or earthly strategies. Linear resolution is the slow, limited protocol of the natural world, designed to keep you spinning in circles until your energy is entirely spent. The curse liquidation operates on the immediate, explosive frequency of a sovereign divine override. Tomorrow morning, as the physical world resets, an unprecedented shift is going to manifest inside your daily reality. It will materialize as a sudden, shocking cancellation of an old toxic obligation, the total disappearance of that unexplainable, heavy dread that usually greets you when you enter your home, a profound willingness of an estranged family member to finally bring peace, or a sudden change in your household's professional favor that leaves your natural mind completely paralyzed with relief. This atmospheric transformation is the undeniable materialization of the clean bloodline ledger. It is the physical proof that your family's spiritual routing codes have been completely switched. The universe is being forced to recognize that your upcoming days are no longer a target for chaotic arrows, but an impenetrable sanctuary of divine order. I saw the secret meetings where the spiritual gatekeepers of limitation plan to project their final wave of daily chaos and unexpected debt onto your household for the year 2026. They had already drafted the blueprints to ensure that your mind would remain a place of low-level anxiety, always managing one crisis after another, and always too distracted by daily survival to ever focus on the massive global wealth and creative breakthroughs that heaven is releasing to your name. They wanted your family trapped in a cycle of constant temporal defense. But the invisible hand has walked straight through their biological and physical blockades, wiped your family records clean, and erected a blazing wall of fire around your property lines. Their legal authority over your time has been permanently revoked, and your bank account, your calendar, and your family rooms have been stamped with the infinite protection of the King. You are moving away from the position of the worried, vulnerable defender and taking your seat as the sovereign gatekeeper of an armored legacy. There is an absolute, unyielding judicial law operating within the highest governance of the spirit realm that decrees that whenever your family line has been systematically targeted, your children's peace stolen, and your household heavily weighed down by a cloud of constant generational anxiety, the ultimate relief will not be a slow, difficult process of human healing. It will be a sudden, explosive arrival of supernatural restoration. The long, exhausting seasons of you lying awake in the dark, replaying toxic family dynamics, and drowning in a silent panic about your mounting domestic burdens, your unresolved ancestral legal disputes, and the terrifying fear that your children will always live under the shadow of financial isolation have officially reached their absolute expiration date tonight. I am here to build a fierce, indestructible certainty in your soul. The entire architecture of generational betrayal and malicious blockage in your family tree is being completely demolished by the Midnight Family Alert. Heaven has just authorized an immediate, high-velocity material settlement that will completely bypass every traditional timeline, every human mediator, and every slow-moving rule of the natural world. God is not just throwing you a small, temporary line of comfort to ease your heart. He is forcefully executing a mandatory 10x abundance and happiness restoration that will instantly flood your home with unshakable dignity and permanent vindication before the sun rises tomorrow morning. Do not be fooled by the current cold distance of those who walked away from your household or the painful reality of the property and asset blockades that have been suffocating your family line since the year 1990. In the United States, you are constantly conditioned by a highly rigid, secular culture to believe that restoring your family's name requires endless years of court battles, that you must settle for a life of guarded survival, and that your children must stay permanently restricted to a place of financial rejection. But I am here to completely interrupt that systemic brainwashing with an uncompromising, absolute prophetic mandate. The invisible hand is currently compressing years of withheld respect, hidden allocations of favor, and unrewarded ancestral loyalty into a single, high-velocity interpersonal shift. I am delivering an explicit, time-stamped ultimatum to your spirit. Before 12 a.m. hits your clock tomorrow morning, a sovereign turning point will manifest in your immediate physical reality. You will receive an unprecedented piece of news regarding your immediate household, an unexpected breakthrough alert from your child or regarding their future, a sudden legal clearance on a long-standing property dispute, or a shocking notification that completely settles a bitter ancestral asset battle that will leave your natural human mind completely paralyzed with relief. The massive pain that has been crushing your family's shoulders for decades will be completely obliterated in a single moment. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of household discredit and domestic sabotage celebrating the fact that your lineage had been under constant pressure. They stood over your life, holding up your family's financial struggles, your moments of quiet despair, and your forced isolations as permanent trophies of their victory. They whispered directly into your subconscious that your household was unlovable, that your children were destined to carry the same heavy weights of poverty you carried, and that your family tree would always live at the mercy of envious backstabbers. But the sovereign Lord of the universe has stepped into the center of your family timeline and shattered their plots to absolute dust. He has issued a supreme restoration of stature order, demanding an immediate, forced eviction of every toxic limitation and dark restriction hovering around your home. The high honor that was stolen from your lineage is being forcefully routed back to your family line this very hour. Do not get fooled into looking for a small, ordinary household blessing that will only cover an awkward, passing interaction, clear a minor misunderstanding, or give your children a brief moment of breathing room. Low-level survival is the frequency of the slave, but this shift is designing the armored legacy. The invisible hand is dropping in overwhelming 10x abundance and blessing surplus into your custody to completely transition your status from a worried, vulnerable victim into a sovereign governor of a highly respected estate. The deep, heavy, ancestral trauma that has dictated your domestic choices for decades, the constant fear of your children missing out, the anxiety of entering legal environments, and the dread of an unstable tomorrow, is being utterly consumed by this sudden influx of liquid authority and divine security. You are being aggressively extracted from the bracket of the isolated casualty and launched directly into the position of a relational anchor. The emotional and financial damage of decades is being completely undone in a single midnight hour. In the United States, you are surrounded by an artificial culture that tells you that your family's standing is entirely defined by your current credit score, your immediate bank accounts, and your traditional assets. But I am here to command an absolute supernatural override of that broken Babylonian protocol tonight. There is an immediate, aggressive relocation of public favor happening in your home's atmosphere at this exact microsecond. The security, the clean vindication, and the massive timeline breakthroughs that were legally and spiritually withheld from your household are being shaken loose by a celestial earthquake. The enemy thought he could wear you out by extending the financial and emotional drought for years, but he did not realize that God was compressing the vital rain of your entire future into a single, explosive midnight cloud. That cloud is bursting over your life before the clock strikes 12 tomorrow morning. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with a loud, terrifying roar of this divine settlement. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what is about to hit your device and your life. He knows that the moment that dynamic notification or catastrophic alert regarding your family property materializes, His ability to control your household through fear, anxiety, and desperation is permanently broken. He has kept your life under domestic pressure to keep your mouth closed, but by sending this midnight family alert, heaven is completely funding your ultimate vindication. The people who assumed your family would always remain isolated, who dismissed your potential, and who expected your lineage to stay ruined will be left completely speechless when they witness the immense, unexplainable sovereign surplus of happiness and elevate that now covers your territory. They will look for a natural explanation, but there is no logic here, there is only the supreme authority of the King. Do not be fooled. This is the definitive turning point of your household's existence. If you turn away from this word, you are choosing to stay bound to the slow, agonizing crawl of linear heartbreak and passing the vulnerability down to your next generation. But if you receive this aggressive restoration, you are authorizing the immediate release of the 10x payout of happiness. The wall of fire is active, the enemy's assignment is cancelled, and the celestial transfer is live. The old identity of ancestral lack is exiting your life forever. The absolute weight of divine favor is occupying your reality. The restoration is initiated. The codes are processing. The midnight family alert is live. You are moving from the panic of the social shortage to the dominion of the overflow. The restriction is exterminated. The protection is final. I saw the secret meetings where they planned your final emotional and financial ruin for the year 2026. But the invisible hand has already reversed the flow of the entire system. The text and the energy that are arriving before 12 a.m. cannot be blocked, cannot be reversed, and cannot be delayed by any human or demonic force. You are moving from empty-handed worry to permanent, unshakable vindication. The alert is coming. Your family name is unlocked. Your 10x protected happiness era is live. We have reached the absolute, dangerous flashpoint of this entire bloodline rescue operation. The exact tactical threshold where the complete liberation of your family tree must be locked directly into your physical reality. You have felt the raw shock of the hereditary trap. You have witnessed the curse liquidation vaporize the ancient residue of failure codes inside your operational ledger, and you have stood under the roaring downpour of the midnight family alert as the 10x generational surplus was redirected straight into your home. But I am here to deliver an uncompromising, urgent sovereign ultimatum. In the high court of heaven, there is a strict, unyielding law of spiritual execution. A cosmic material relocation of temporal favor requires the physical signature of the household's designated chain breaker. The massive ancestral records have been entirely cleansed on your behalf, and your family routing codes have been cleared of the enemy's hidden training mechanisms. But the final activation of this golden shield demands your immediate kinetic consent, to permanently lock down the enemy's terminal weapons and prevent them from launching a vengeful, sudden counterattack against your children tonight. You must execute this ancestral break command. Do not be fooled by the deceptive silence of the room you are sitting in or the seemingly mundane act of typing on a digital screen. In the United States, you are constantly surrounded by a deeply secular, surface-level culture that treats words as disposable vibrations and digital commitments as meaningless text, completely blinding you to the fact that your material and generational destiny is secured in the unseen realm. But I am here to completely interrupt that modern blindness. Your digital response right now is not a casual engagement metric for an internet platform. It is your official spiritual signature on the celestial manifest of permanent future distribution and safety. Right now, the invisible hand is standing over the central master console of your temporal destiny, his finger hovering directly over the final release button. But the supreme authorization is currently paused. He is waiting for you to legally step forward and confirm your identity as the authorized governor of your house. If you remain a silent, hesitant observer out of sheer carelessness or doubt, you are effectively signaling to the heavenly recorders that you accept the terms of the old oppression. You are letting your silence act as a legal waiver, allowing the spirits of chaos and failure to reoccupy your week. I have seen the whispers you could not hear. I heard the spirits of chronic setbacks and generational sabotage gathering in a desperate, frantic circle at the very perimeter of your children's future. They are staring at your fingers on your device at this very split second. They are desperately whispering doubt into the atmosphere, praying that you will hesitate, praying that you will feel too cynical, too prideful, or too embarrassed to type your decree. They know with absolute certainty that if they can keep you silent for just a few more seconds, the spiritual transfer of 10x abundance will hit a catastrophic, irreversible bottleneck. Your massive calendar breakthrough will be marked as refused and automatically sent back to a state of permanent freeze. The enemy will instantly regain legal custody of your days, reactivating their chaos protocols, and leaving your loved ones trapped in the exact same cycle of exhaustion, chronic anxiety, and sudden emergencies that broke your ancestors since 1990. But I am commanding you to completely smash their schemes right now. I am commanding you to log your confirmation into the heavenly database by typing in the comments immediately, "Chain broken" or "My family is free." Do not get fooled. This is the definitive fast-forward mechanism for your family's peace, stability, and future. The moment you type those words, you are performing an aggressive, spiritual takeover of the schedule that was hoarded and stolen by the forces of scarcity. You are driving a legal stake into the spiritual database and declaring to every spirit of hereditary failure, every root of schedule accumulation, and every demonic architect of sudden chronological crisis that their jurisdiction over your time is totally broken. You are trading your years of temporal suffering and fear of the future for his boundless, unfailing resilience. If you choose to ignore this explicit directive out of hesitation, you are choosing to wake up tomorrow morning to the exact same heaviness, the same empty energy reserves, and the same terrifying domestic tightness you have endured for months. Your miracle will remain frozen in a state of eternal suspension because the head of the house refused to sign the release form. I saw the secret meetings of the celestial registrars of life and legacy. They are standing at absolute attention right now, waiting for the frequency of your specific response. They cannot drop the millions of dollars in spiritual vitality and extended chronological protection into a physical frame that refuses to declare its recovery. Your written command is the active key that shatters the enemy's freezing mechanisms over your home's atmosphere. When you type "chain broken," you are completely neutralizing the temporal and operational blockades that have paralyzed your family's endurance, your mental clarity, and your long-term legacy goals. You are telling every force of external manipulation that their authority over your household timeline is entirely null and void. You are executing the sovereign decree of the king over your upcoming territory. In the United States, you are trained by the secular system to operate in a spirit of absolute doubt, to wait for physical sight before you dare to speak with authority. But I am here to command a total reversal of that broken protocol tonight. In the courts of the sovereign, your decree creates the materialization, your word forces the physical property to realign. Your long-standing family panic has been a counterfeit security blanket that you have held onto out of sheer habit. Tonight, you must violently tear that blanket away. You must trade the comfortable, predictable rhythm of your struggle for the terrifying, explosive velocity of supernatural immunity. I am commanding a full-scale spiritual riot against your household status quo. Type the word. Sign the letter. Release the flood of peace over your upcoming calendar. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them right now with the roaring sound of this sudden release. The adversary is absolutely terrified of what happens when your fingers touch that keyboard. He knows that the moment you enter your code into the registry, his legal right to hold your household's peace hostage is completely terminated. He has kept your household weak and worried for decades for one reason: to keep your mouth closed and your focus off your ultimate destiny. By publicly writing "My family is free," you are officially taking your seat as a chief administrator of the kingdom's protection. You are forcing your family's file out of the enemy's execution center and triggering an instantaneous distribution of safety and life force. Do not be fooled. The invisible hand will never force his abundance into a home that remains silent and unaligned. He requires your active confirmation to drop the health and security of the Creator into your lap. This text is your literal digital passcode. Without it, the Midnight Family Alert remains a distant possibility rather than an immediate possession. But with it, the transfer becomes completely unstoppable. The release becomes irreversible. The safety becomes manifest. I saw the secret meetings of the registrars of glory. They are updating your family's time balances and protection logs the very microsecond you execute this command. They are clearing the red ink of your family's struggles and inputting the massive sovereign surplus. You are moving from the panic of the ticking watch to the dominion of the master. The old frequency of decay is dead the moment you authorize its exit. The immense vault of life is live the moment you claim its contents. The command is issued. The registry is open. The pen is in your hands. Do not hesitate for a single second. Do not negotiate with your past domestic trials. Chain broken, type it with the heavy authority of a ruler. My family is free, write it with the absolute certainty of an owner. You are entering the sanctuary of the fully shielded. The invisible hand has pre-approved the payout of peace, now you must finalize the delivery. I have seen the whispers you could not hear, and I am deleting them with the pulse of the eternal covenant. The freeze is broken. The sovereign vault of longevity and protection is open. You are safe in the authorization of the Almighty. You are secure in the treasury of the King. The vulnerability is exiting. The overflow of God is occupying your home. The confirmation is final. The ancient, suffocating patterns that held your household hostage for over 3 decades have officially been shattered at the foundation. As you stand in this pivotal moment, the broken frame of your past has been completely removed from the spiritual record, replaced by a clean, fully authorized decree of absolute restoration. But listen to this final directive with every ounce of your spirit, and let a holy, urgent awareness settle over your house before this transmission concludes forever. A freshly unlocked bloodline and a newly liberated family tree are the absolute primary targets for a desperate, retaliatory strike from the forces of chaos. The old limitations do not want to see your children walk into a life of clean, unshakable stability without launching one final, frantic attempt to drag your lineage back into the dark. You are entering the ultimate hour of your family's defense, and your immediate task is the total lockdown of this victory. Welcome to the Blood Shield. Do not make the tragic mistake of assuming that the patterns of distress will simply fade away without a fight. The moment this broadcast ends and your device goes dark, the silent architects of family sabotage will look for any crack in your armor. They are waiting for you to drop your guard, hoping you will carelessly return to your daily routine without locking your deliverance into place. I am directing you right now to establish your permanent boundary. This act of alignment, this unwavering commitment to secure your lineage by hitting that subscribe button immediately, is your physical verification that the doors of generational lack are shut forever. This specific protection circle is the permanent lock on your home's new peace. If you turn your back on this altar tonight, you are leaving your household entirely uncovered. The forces of limitation will see your family tree exposed, and they will immediately move to reactivate the unexplainable crises, the sudden financial drops, and the emotional heavy clouds that wore down your parents since 1990. They will hack right back into your destiny. Think of the immense, painful price that was paid to clear your bloodline tonight. Think of the suffering on the cross, where Jesus made the ultimate sacrifice. his body torn and his blood shed to forcefully tear down the invisible walls surrounding your house. He took the heavy weight of your family's grief and shame into his own soul so your children would never have to carry it. Turning away out of sheer negligence does not just risk your tomorrow, it deeply grieves the very heart of the Creator. God will literally weep over your carelessness, watching his child walk away from a secured refuge. Act right now with absolute urgency. Lock this subscription as your permanent shield, secure your notification bell, and step boldly into your family's new era of unshakable peace.